Hey everyone, and welcome. Today's explainer is going to completely flip the script on pretty much everything you've ever been taught about building wealth. We're going to break down some truly fascinating data on why standard budgeting advice usually just flat out fails us. And more importantly, we'll see how securing your financial future actually bypasses budgeting almost entirely. Believe it or not, it all comes down to a tiny, fleeting window of time you probably never even think about. Okay, let's start by looking at John and Diana. The contrast between these two is just incredible. John makes $94,000 a year. He has literally never made a budget in his entire life, and yet he's sitting on $840,000 in savings. Now, on the flip side, we've got Diana. She earns significantly more, $112,000 a year. She tracks every single dollar across 3 different apps, and she only has $4,000 to her name. It's wild, right? Earning more definitely does not equal having more. The secret difference between them isn't about having ironclad discipline, and it actually isn't about their income. It's about one single decision made right after payday. Get this, 68% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. But here's the real kicker. That number actually includes people earning 6 figures. Yeah, nearly half of all workers making over $100,000 a year report having little to absolutely nothing left at the end of the month. It just completely shatters the myth that earning more money automatically solves your money problems. We aren't looking at a poverty story here at all. We're looking at a routing story. The money is coming in, sure, it's just leaving through the wrong door. So why does this happen? Well, it boils down to a massive psychological trap. The moment that money hits your checking account, it stops feeling like a tool and instantly starts feeling like permission. Think about it for a second. Most of us treat payday like crossing a finish line. The money arrives, this quiet wave of relief washes over you, and suddenly you feel permission to breathe and permission to spend. It's a psychological illusion, and it traps high earners like Diana every single month. Let's zoom in on those first 60 seconds right after the deposit hits. Diana opens her banking app, sees a high balance, mentally files away her upcoming bills, and then just spends freely from the top all month long. She tells herself she'll definitely save whatever is left over. John, however, operates on a totally different wavelength. Before he even wakes up, his money moves automatically to his investments and his emergency fund. So the absolute crucial takeaway is this. Diana tries to save what's left after she spends, but John simply spends what's left after he saves. What John gets, and what Diana is constantly struggling against, is something called the willpower tax. This is that exhausting daily psychological cost of deciding not to spend money that is just sitting right there in your checking account, practically begging to be used. And let's be real, it is exhausting. Relying on sheer discipline is a losing battle because the human brain just isn't built to say no 100 times a month to a fully loaded bank account. Your willpower is going to run out long before your month does. To really see how this willpower tax traps us, let's take a look at Mark. Mark is 30, he makes $60,000, and the guy is juggling 6 different budgeting apps. He starts every single month with this beautiful, color-coded spreadsheet, and yet he has exactly $0 saved. Mark is the ultimate example of why modern budgeting tools can feel so incredibly frustrating. They track your money only after it's already in your hands, which is honestly when the battle's already lost. And that brings us to a pretty harsh truth. Budgets are scoreboards. They're not gates. They report the damage instead of preventing it. Mark doesn't need a notification on a Friday night telling him he overspent on takeout. He needs that money to be completely gone before he can even touch it. He needs a system that does not rely on him being strong and disciplined in the heat of the moment. All right, so let's dive into the actual solution. We call this the exact routing playbook. It's 4 precise steps your paycheck should take automatically. First, the employer match. Second, high interest debt. Third, the emergency fund. And fourth, tax-advantaged accounts. We're going to walk through each of these right now because getting this specific sequence dialed in is the absolute secret engine behind building true wealth. Now, this first step often messes with people's natural intuition. Most of us think attacking debt has to be priority number 1, right? But mathematically speaking, if your employer offers a dollar-for-dollar match, that is an instant 100% return on your money. Even a really vicious credit card interest rate is only going to be around 24%. 100 simply beats 24 every single time. So mathematically, securing that free employer match absolutely must be your top priority, even before you throw extra cash at your debt. $24 billion. Let that massive number just sink in for a second. That is the amount of unclaimed employer match money left on the table every single year. 1 in 4 workers fail to contribute enough to get their full match. Guys, it is literally free money. It's a raise your boss is practically trying to hand you, and millions of people walk right past it every payday simply because they think they can't afford it. Let's see how this plays out in the real world with Carla. Carla makes 68 grand. And honestly, she used to contribute nothing. But the day she copied John's setup, she turned on a 5% contribution just to capture her full match. Literally overnight, she found $3,400 in free money. Her effective savings rate instantly jumped from 5% to 10% just by reaching out and taking what was already being offered to her. Okay, so once you've grabbed that match and killed off the high-interest debt, you hit step 3, the emergency fund. Right now, a scary 59% of Americans do not have enough cash saved up to cover a single $1,000 emergency. And without this cash wall, any surprise expense, like a broken transmission or a random medical bill, immediately throws you right back into the exact same high-interest credit card debt you just fought to escape. The emergency fund isn't an investment, it's the shields that protects your investments. But here's the thing, where you keep that shield matters immensely, because human nature will absolutely try to sabotage it. If you leave your emergency fund in your regular checking account, it's way too visible and way too easy to spend by accident. You have to move it to a separate high-yield savings account, ideally at a totally different bank. You'll earn a better return, sure, but more importantly, it introduces high friction. It makes the money out of sight and out of mind, which protects you from accidentally spending your own safety net. So, once your shield is securely in place, your next dollars flow into what we like to call tax-advantaged magic. We're talking about accounts like a Roth IRA or a health savings account. This is where money goes in, it grows, and it comes out with zero government tax cuts along the way. Paying tax just once instead of every single year, that is exactly how John quietly built his massive wealth in total silence over 30 years. Now, you might be wondering, if the playbook is really this clear, why do high earners like Diana still struggle so much? Well, it comes down to a silent killer known as lifestyle creep. This is where your spending just quietly rises to perfectly match any new income. You get a raise, so you buy a slightly nicer car or rent a slightly bigger apartment, and suddenly a person earning 150 grand is feeling the exact same suffocating panic as someone earning 50 grand. So, the absolutely crucial point here is how you handle new money. Think of a raise as a fork in the road. You can route it to automatic investments before your lifestyle ever even sees it, or you can route it to a slightly nicer life that, let's be honest, you probably won't even notice a few months from now. John let his income grow, for sure, but he absolutely refused to let his spending chase it. He captured that extra income automatically. And that brings us to our ultimate destination, 25%. The big target is to eventually route 25% of your gross income straight into your future, every single payday. Now, don't panic. I know it sounds steep, but it's a climb, not a starting line. You start at the match, maybe that's just 6%, and then you just climb 1 percentage point every single time you get a raise. The new money never hits your lifestyle, so you literally never feel the squeeze. Let's look at this zero willpower machine totally in action with 28-year-old Maya. The moment her paycheck lands, before she's even out of bed, her system automatically routes her match, shoots $150 to her emergency fund, and drops $100 into her Roth. By the time Maya is opening her banking app over her morning coffee, the number she sees is purely what she is free to spend. No willpower required, no exhausting daily decisions to agonize over. This right here is the core difference between how our grandparents managed money and how we really need to be doing it today. The old advice told you to just be strong, which basically requires you to summon raw discipline 40,000 times a month at every single checkout line and coffee shop. But the upgrade, this automated routing system, requires you to be disciplined exactly once. Just one single evening where you log into your bank and set up those automatic transfers. Because at the end of the day, it all comes down to one simple mechanical truth. You cannot spend money you never saw. Fixing your finances is not about trying harder, and it's definitely not about tracking every single latte you buy. It is literally just a one-evening fix. You change the order your money moves, and you let automation carry the heavy weight of your discipline for the rest of your life. So the next time someone tries to tell you the secret to wealth is some hot new crypto stock or a really complicated side hustle, just ignore them. Instead, ask yourself this one vital question. What happens in the first 60 seconds after you get paid? Take action tonight. Route your money before the world takes it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really